Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Tanner's Favorite Things. I'm Tanner Knight, and in this episode, as you may have guessed, we're going to be talking about this Dixon Precision Coil bass kick drum pedal one more time. So I got this about 6 months ago around my birthday, thank you Mom, and I didn't really dive too deep into the features or what makes this pedal so great. I really just wanted to throw it on the drum kit, play it, and kind of compare it against whatever pedals I have in my previous experience. So I didn't dive too deeply into what makes this pedal so great. So we're going to do that today, and we're going to also attempt to answer a question from a viewer, Benny Harvey 703. This is in direct response to your question: how do you adjust the spring tension on this pedal? And the short answer, I'll just come right out and say it, I don't know. I wish I knew. I had all intentions of coming down here today and just figuring this out in a matter of seconds, but it just didn't happen. So we're going to talk about that. But first, I do want to dive a little bit more into the additional features, or at least the kind of above and beyond features that I think make this pedal a really great value and something worth checking out. So it's designed to be really modular. Everything has its own adjustment here for the chain, here for the batter, here for this spring tensioner, we'll call it, but I don't know how it works exactly. We'll talk about that in a second. But each one of these has its own adjustment. This is a drum key, and there's an Allen wrench set screw in here, and there's another one on the other side there, set screw. And then all these Allen keys around the pedal in general. So I love when a piece of kit can have its own tools built in, and the designers of this pedal were really thoughtful about that. We have a drum key that's an angled one. You can see it does have the female end here and the male end here. So if we have anything that requires the male end of the drum key, that is there, and the female end is right here. So really nice tool to have. This would work all over the drum kit, not just with this pedal, but there's a lot of adjustment that occurs here, etc. So that's a really nice thing to have, and it just sits nicely in this little spot here. Secondly, we mentioned the Allen key adjustments. Well, we have two Allen keys, what I assume are a 3 and a 4. It could be a 2 and a 3. Not 100% sure what the size is there, but we have both Allen keys that we need to make any other adjustment on this pedal. So these set screws here, if we needed to adjust these, those feel like those are the smaller ones, so we would go ahead and use the smaller one, and you can adjust the set screws to make this shaft turn one way or the other, I assume. I didn't want to do that because it will mess with the geometry, and kind of a disclaimer, I did not have very much success adjusting the chain kind of location or this spring adjustment, the spring tension adjustment. I loosened both this one with the drum key, and you would think that it would just loosen this up enough to spin, but it didn't. It just stayed exactly where it was. And maybe that's just because the manufacturer built it with such little compliance or gaps tolerances in there that it's just really tight on there and it needs a whack with something. I'm a little scared to do that. This one was able to spin around freely by adjusting this guy right here, and you'll notice we've got two other adjustments on the back, and that's for adjusting the height of this battery. You can see we have a lot more shaft in here. It's not at the end, so we can raise that up or move it down even further if need be. It's in a nice grooved slot and really nicely machined. So very nice adjustment there. And speaking of adjustment, the top of this head swivels. And I assume that it just kind of finds equilibrium by banging on the batter face of the drum kick. But, you know, it's got that much compliance to hit exactly square face no matter what angle you have this set at. And if you do adjust this, it will spin around. Probably not all the way, but you know, as far as it would go before it hit on either side. These set screws that hold on the spring tensioner, I loosened both of them, and they did absolutely nothing. Not exactly sure why that didn't move, but it does look like those set screws are holding on to a bearing as well that spins with the whole mechanism to make sure that it's just spinning instead of grinding on metal or, you know, having any metal on metal contact that's unnecessary. And that's what makes this pedal really, really high quality, is there's no metal on metal other than the spring, which it's not rubbing against anything, it's just doing its spring thing. But there was no adjustability in it when I loosened those set screws. So I don't know, someone's gonna hopefully come to us with the answer here. Maybe if you just hit on this with a mallet or something like that, it would come loose, and then you could move this back to induce more spring tension, or forward to have less spring tension on there. But right now, it doesn't have any adjustability. I did check previous models, and they did have a knob built on the end of this thing. This is not a knob. You can tell that we have two screws that are the 4 Allen key. So if we get the bigger, we can ensure that that thing fits in there and loosen those up. And I did loosen them up. I thought, hey, maybe it's just secured down because there's a lot of tension on there. And if you want to change it, you just loosen these up and spin it, and it would click or something. But it didn't. It just spun and spun and spun. The shaft was not spinning with it, so it's just on the end here, just kind of holding all of this together and giving the spindle a spot to rest, really. And beyond that, I could not find any additional adjustability in this spring mechanism. So if you have the answer, please let me know. Otherwise, what I love about this pedal is we have some I-beams here. These are literal I-beam construction. You can see on the inside of this one, there's a groove, and that's the same for both sides. We have machined I-beam, machined steel, I assume is what this is, and it really strengthens this up by having that I-beam structure in there, and it lightens it up as well. So it makes for a piece of kit that does not weigh you down a ton. In addition to that, we do have very easily turnable set screws to kind of set the amount of grab on the floor. And these are really pointy, and they're very easily adjustable by hand on either side. You've got those screws that can really secure this thing down, and it affects the tilt slightly as well. So if you have a floor that is maybe a little more rubbery, you want to crank those down. Otherwise, you'd leave them alone. This is how our pedal is secured to the rim of the kick drum, and you can see that by tightening it, it raises a lever that pushes this down here and grabs it. So a really nicely designed mechanism, and just rock solid. So levers on levers, so you don't have to really put a lot of effort into cranking. It's 2 levers, and this one's spring loaded, so it comes back right to where it needs to be. Very nice design. And the chain, we mentioned this before, it's like a double chain, just really rock solid, and it attaches on the bottom, again with that drum key square attachment. So that's the pedal. It's really well designed. I just love everything about it. The tools being right here and everything else just makes this thing a very well thought out piece of kit. Not to mention that it sounds great as a kick pedal. You know, no complaints. So I wish that I had a better answer for you, Benny Harvey 703, regarding that spring tension, but I did everything that I felt comfortable with taking this apart, short of removing everything and just seeing what's in there. But that's kind of where I left it, and hopefully someone with a little more experience with this product can fill us in if there's an easier way to adjust this spring tension. The good news is that it's great right out of the box. That spring tension, I can't envision a scenario in which you would want much more spring tension than that. It really ramps up as you push it and brings it right back to where you want it without hitting yourself in the shin. This is a massive piece of metal on the end here to give it weight, so you don't want that bumping up against your shin. It's a really, really nice spring curve, and I'm assuming that they did some engineering fancy pants work in SolidWorks to make sure that that spring curve matched the exact spring curve a drummer would want. So it's a really, really great product. Short of knowing how to adjust that, It's got a ton of adjustability, and everything is right there on the pedal tool-wise. So let me know if you have any questions or answers, and hopefully we can help Benny out and answer that one question. Otherwise, I hope that you like checking out this pedal a little closer than last time. Again, I just wanted to hear how it sounded. So now we know. If you want to hear that video, then I'll link it in the description below. Feel free to check that out and hear the sound sample in, 6 months ago. So this has been Tanner Knight. Please like and subscribe. If you have anything else that you would like to see on this channel, let me know and I'll make it happen. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.